Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacqueline. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacqueline at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome back to USA Global TV and to our friends listening on Business Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, and our show today is Talking Heads, our second Talking Heads program today. I'm so excited. If you're joining us for the first time and you're wondering, what is a talking head? A talking head is a leading expert from around the world who comes and presents a lesson within 30 minutes to help make us better personally and or professionally. Joining me again today, the same time each week, it's Keegan Daly. Welcome, Jean.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be back again.
I just love your lessons, and I've been summarizing for our elevated listening community because you've just got so much great content in there to help people, especially people are looking for a sense of purpose. They're looking for a sense of belonging, understanding how they can communicate, how they can show up and feel good in their body. And you're just doing a great job in helping us with all of that, Jean.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right, I'm looking forward to your lesson. I'm going to spotlight you, and then I'll go backstage. I'll be taking notes, and I'll come back and join you at the end.
Okay, sounds good. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is my fifth in a series of 12 of being your best self, steps to doing that. So if you've been with me for the other programs I've given, you know that I am a holistic registered nurse and have been so most of all of my career, which is very long, 56 years, excuse me. And we are holistic beings. That is a fact. And what that means is, if you've listened to me before, is that we are a combination, a integral connection between body, mind, spirit, and emotion. All of these parts of us function together, and the core of us is our spiritual self. Now, that really doesn't have anything to do with religion. It could, but not necessarily. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, whether you have a religion or not. That is a fact. We have come from a creative source that some people call God, some people have other names, universe or creative one or source. It doesn't really matter. It matters that you know that we are a creative, dynamic, spiritual being having this temporary human experience. And so, how do we utilize that to create our own reality? And what can you do to understand how you're creating your own reality? This is something that I've been involved in, studying, researching, experiencing for the past, 45 or so years. And I wrote and published a book, completely true stories of how I started this journey. And it was really in my nursing career. So my book is entitled Reflections of a Seasoned Soul, and it's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and other places. And I'm happy to say it does have 5 stars on Amazon. The intention of my book is to help people understand how they are holistic beings. And today I'm going to focus really on bits and pieces of what I have programmed or what I have given to you before in these programs, which is creating your own reality by how you think, because everything is in thought first. The first thought that you have, whether you remember it or not, is creating a feeling. And from that feeling, we have behaviors. And then the behavior repeated again and again becomes an attitude, which then becomes a habit. And in order to realize how your life is unfolding and what is happening in your life, you need to go back to what your thoughts were and what your thoughts are right now. So I mentioned that last week, pretty much the whole lesson. And today I'm going to tell you how that creates one's reality. So, for example, if you are being raised as a child, if you have been raised as a child, most of you are adults now, with certain belief systems. Say, like in my family, okay, I'm the oldest of 6 children. We are all still living, thankfully, and our parents did, as all parents do, the best they can with what they know. So in my family, um, during my growing up years in the 50s, I always heard that money was scarce. Money was something that you had to work hard for, and money was not growing on trees. There were actually 15 uh, kind of belief systems that I learned about when I studied how money and prosperity and poverty consciousness all fit together. So, as an example, when I want something, in my past, the very first thought that would come into my mind would be, you can't afford this, Gene. Or you haven't worked hard enough to deserve this, Gene. Or you haven't really benefited, because if you benefit, then someone else might be suffering. So I had to look at all of those really very ingrained belief systems and attitudes that I had carried throughout my young adult life and look at how they were serving me in a way that I could utilize to help other people. So, what I learned was, and sharing with you today, is that in creating my own reality, if I saw myself, which I did for many years, as less than, I could not be prosperous, because that would mean, in my belief system, that someone else would be lacking. And I learned that that's not true, because if I lack in my life, then I have just a small wellspring from which to give to others. So when I say lack, I don't mean that my life has to be lavish. It has to be truth. It has to be my truth. So the first thing that I needed to learn and to really create in my life as a reality is that I am worthy. I am worthy. We're all worthy. Every single one is worthy, because we are created to have this experience on earth, to be happy, to be growing, to be learning, to be understanding, to be who we came here to be. And I mentioned that before too. We all have a life purpose. And that purpose is to know our truth. And the first truth that we need to know is that we are spiritual beings. And that spiritual beingness inside of us, that creative part of us, is abundant. That means that when we're here on this earth planet living this life, we can be very detached from that understanding by some of the belief systems that we have been brought up to have. And that's not blaming anyone, it's not faulting anyone for that. That is what people in my family knew. And they did not know that they could change that. Or if they did, they didn't feel worthy enough to change that. So, as we are learning more and more about ourselves and how we relate to the universe and what our purpose is here in life, we know that we are meant to be creative beings, because that's part of energy, and everything is energy. We are energy. Everything that you can think of has at its core energy. There's a system of energy in the universe. We are part of that. Everything and everyone is connected on that energetic level. Now, energy has vibrational frequencies. It's kind of like if you tune in a radio and you want, let's say you want channel 101 on your radio, and you think you're on 101 on the dial. Well, I have an old radio, so you know what I'm talking about when I say I have a dial. It's not digital. And if there's a lot of static, then I know that maybe that's not the channel that is right for me at the time. So I'll go to another channel until it comes in clear. The same thing happens with us. If our energy vibration through our what we're thinking, through our belief systems, through our traditions, through our habits, through our attitudes is tuned to a certain vibration that we don't even realize perhaps that is fuzzy, that's the kind of energy we're going to attract. So if you want to attract a higher vibration, then you need to learn how to create a thought process that turns into a feeling, that turns into a behavior, that becomes an attitude, that becomes a habit, into what is matching your vibration. So, for example, if another example is going back to the money. So, if I just want something that costs a lot of money just because I want it, I need to look at why. What does that mean for me? Because things have an energetic response to our thoughts. So if I want to create something in my life, I want to create, let's say, a new car, and the car that I have in mind is something that my old brain says, you can't afford this. Why are you even wanting that? And my habit says, well, I'm tired of not having what I want. I just want this car. That attitude of I'm tired that I don't get what I want is mixed with feelings of maybe resentment or anger or frustration. And when I look at, well, that is actually coming from the past because in the past there was not the opportunity for me to have what I wanted. So it takes some self analyzing in a way that helps you to understand where are these things coming from? Where are the thoughts coming from? And the thoughts are always followed by feelings. So I'm going to read for you from something that I learned many, many years ago in a training class that I was in. All feelings that begin with thoughts, remember, are nothing more than unconscious signals for us to learn something or to change something. So, anger or frustration, for example, means that we have had important life rules of our own that have been violated by either ourselves or someone else. And there's a lesson to learn from that. Okay? The lesson to learn from frustration, anger, is whether or not, first of all, our rules are too rigid, or whether our anger, frustration comes from our hurt, sadness, or our fear, worry, and anxiety. So it means we might have too rigid rules, or we might have too few rules. And so everything is an opportunity to learn more about yourself. So if you're angry that you can't have something, or you're angry at someone else for doing something, that means you have an opportunity to look at your own rules, the rules you have. So when I was a teenager, for example, I don't know why this popped into my mind, but it did. When I was a teenager, I had a boyfriend. Now, we didn't really spend any time together because we lived far apart, but we went to the same school. I was about 16. And in school, when he would say, I'll call you, that made me feel really excited. So I would hang by the only phone we had in the house, which was a rotary dial phone, of course, at that time. And we had a party line. So I would hope and hope and hope that he would be calling because he said he was going to call, right? That night. Now, my internal rule was he would call that night. That wasn't his rule. He would call me whenever. So I was upset. I was angry. I was frustrated because he violated my rule. But my rule wasn't his rule. And he might not have even known. So how we hear something, how we interpret something can impact these rules that we have on ourselves and on others to follow our rules. So the thought can be then to change the thought is, well, I expected when he said, I'll call you, that he would call tonight. And I waited by the phone and he didn't call. And if I had the maturity, not so much the intelligence, but the maturity, the understanding of how this works, thoughts first, I could have changed my thought to think, he said he would call, he will sometime. And that would have caused me to be more relaxed. Okay. So moving on, before I get too caught up in that, fear, worry, anxiety means we are unprepared for some situation now or in the future. So the lesson to learn from fear is what is a healthy and accurate level of being prepared for any situation. Figure it out. Are you totally prepared? And how do you know that? Or are you unprepared and say, oh, well, come what may? When I have a fear or a worry, my oldest son was an airline pilot during 9/11 time. I was very worried until I caught myself in that thought of worry. And I changed that thought to a thought of protection for him, safety, not just him, but the other pilot and all of the passengers and the airplane itself. So, excuse me, that goes back to something that I talked about before. Be aware of your thoughts. Be aware. Is this thought taking me toward calm and peace? Is this thought taking me toward what I want? If not, change that. That's how you can start to make your reality more of what it is you want. You're creating something different, going toward what you want. So back to feelings. Hurt and sadness means we are either expecting something to happen and it did not happen, or we're not expecting just something to happen and it does happen. So, do we have a low expectation or do we have a high expectation? Expectations sometimes get us into trouble because they're often about other people. They're often about thinking that our expectation on something or someone is the same as we would have on ourselves. And that's not really fair, is it? So the idea to learn from hurt sadness is to figure out whether or not what you are specifically expecting is at a healthy and accurate level for the given situation. And again, that goes back to your thought, which then can change the feeling, which can make you feel calmer. Then guilt and shame. Okay, the lesson to learn, well, first of all, I'll tell you, when we feel guilty, that means we are not living up to our own standards. And when we feel ashamed, it means we are not living up to someone else's standards. So, what are your own standards? What are your own standards? Because I never remember Wayne Dyer wrote a book, and it was a really great novel, and it was about a being from another planet who didn't understand Earthlings' guilt feelings. So the only time guilt is really valuable is if you can change it, if you can do something. So let's say you bump into someone's car with your car, and you feel guilty because now they have to go through insurance, maybe the deductible, and so on, and you feel guilty, so you want to help. You can. You can utilize that guilt in a positive way to help that person. You can, if it's your fault, you can help to maybe pay some of the deductible or whatever. You can create your own way of helping that person. And then you let go of the guilt. It doesn't serve any purpose anymore. But when you hang on to guilt for situations that you cannot change, then it doesn't do you or anyone else any good at all. It actually decreases that vibration that I was talking about before. You want to maintain energy so that you attract to you the creative processes that are available in the universe to help you to create thoughts, feelings, behaviors, actions that allow you to be true to yourself and help others. And so the last one I'm going to talk about is loneliness. Loneliness means we are feeling disconnected for someone or something that's meaningful to us. And or that we are not contributing to someone or something in a helpful and meaningful way, or that we are disconnected from ourselves, especially from our own spirit. And that's the one that people often don't recognize at all. So when you're feeling lonely and you're looking for someone, well, why isn't that person calling me? How come I don't have another relationship? Or how come you don't have a wonderful relationship that I would like? All right. The thing to do is to turn into yourself. Are you connected with you? What is your truth? And I talked about that a little bit before, where if you imagine something, you imagine how that would feel in your life. If you're imagining yourself at the beach, for example, and oh, that feels wonderful. You're putting your arms up and you just feel great about that. Okay, so what can you do to create that in your life to happen, even if it's only for a day? If going to the beach is not your thing and you're thinking about, because someone says, oh, come to the beach with us, and your body just starts to go, oh, the sand, and the water is cold now, and there's so many people, then you know that that's not really for you, no matter what the other people want you to do. It's not your truth. So creating your own reality really starts with being who you are and learning who is it that you are. So one of the techniques is ask yourself, what am I feeling? What am I feeling? And that feeling can go back to, well, what created that feeling? What thought created that feeling? Am I trying to please someone else? Is it really true about me? And remember what I said before, and I'll say it again and again. Always speak your truth kindly, honestly, and as quickly as you can, but very kindly. Being true to yourself oftentimes might have the effect of someone else feeling hurt because you didn't do what they wanted you to do or thought was good for you. But when you're very kind about it and you say, no, thank you, I understand you would like me to do that. However, I feel like it's not really what I want to do. Okay, that's not selfish. That is being who you truly are once you know who you are. So, what am I feeling? And then, what is it that I want? What do I really want? And then, what am I willing to do to have what I want? So, that often comes into looking again at your thoughts and your feelings and creating what it is you really want. So, some people say, well, I don't know what I want. Okay, then look at your past. What used to bring you joy? So for me, dancing always brought me joy, always. And I've wondered, since I love dancing so much, why I have this plantar fasciitis right now for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I learned through a lot of meditation and asking myself, what are my thoughts? It comes down to the fact that I have not been treating myself very well to enough sleep. So I fixed that. That's up to me to fix that. Okay. Um, so as we end this section right now, today, and I hope that you have learned something, I want to read something to you that I think is wonderful, that I learned in a program that I'm certified in called the Dream Builder program. The question I'm going to ask you is, this is from a reading. The question I'm going to ask you is, what am I? I am your constant companion. I am your greatest helper or your heaviest burden. I will push you onward or I will drag you down to failure. I am completely at your command. Half the things you do might just as well turn over to me, and I will be able to do them quickly and correctly if you just give me guidance. I am easily managed, but you must be firm with me. Show me exactly what you want done, what you want created, and I will work on it automatically. I am the servant of all great men and women, but alas, I am also that which brings failure to them as well. Those who are great, I have made great. Those who are failures, I have made failures. I am not a machine, but I work with the precision of a fine machine, plus the intelligence of the smartest person you know. You may run me for profit. You may run me for ruin. It makes no difference to me. Take me, train me, be firm with me, and I will place the world at your feet. Be easy with me, casual with me, convenient with me, and I will destroy every dream you have. Who am I? I am your thinking, your creative ability to change your thoughts into what it is you want, to know yourself, to create the reality that the universe has for you in its abundance by raising your vibration. Is this thought, is this feeling, is this behavior taking me toward my goal? Is it taking me away from my goal? So we'll talk more about that next week when I'm back here again at 4:30 with Dr. Jacqueline, and we will talk about the five parts of health, the truest parts of holistic health, and the five components of those and how they can work in your life. And then the next section of 6 weeks after next week is practical techniques and exercises that can help you to actually be in a place of that high vibration where you can truly bring into your life that which is what you want and feel like you are your authentic self. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week. Or I'll have you listen to me next week.
Thank you so much, Jean. It's been a pleasure hearing your lesson. I've got a bunch of notes. I'm just going to spotlight you. What's the best way for people to reach you, and who would you like to reach out?
Oh, I would like to reach out. I would like anyone who wants to learn more to reach out to me. I have many, many, many suggestions and many experiences I can call on from my own life and help you with. So my email is jlifespirit. That's JLIFESPIRIT at Comcast.net. Now, I would like you to put in the subject line, either put Dr. Jacqueline's program or put, ask me questions, something so I know it's not a spam. And I will definitely answer you. And we can set up a time to talk. So that's one way. And the other way that you can get in touch with me is through looking into my, well, let's see, I don't really have my website set up yet, but it's coming. It's coming. So the best way is through my web link. Oh my goodness, LinkedIn is another way. LinkedIn. So I know we're running out of time, and I just wanted to make sure that I was giving you the right thing. So LinkedIn, I'm on there. I'm also on Facebook. I also am on Instagram. So, but the best way is through my jlifespirit at Comcast.net.
All right. Thank you so much, Jean. We have that on the screen right now. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you. Me too. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Great
Thank
job.
you. Thanks,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Jacqueline.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate having you here today. We have 7 shows. We've got one more coming up, and that is a Talking Heads show with Mariska Duprier. So stay wherever you are watching us. I'm going to run to the other studio, meet Mariska, and then we'll be right back. Great job, Jean. And thank you, everyone, for being here. We really appreciate it. Take care.